Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. It's from a guy. He shares his story about events that happened when he was 32 years old and met who is now his ex-girlfriend, and how he wasted a year and a half of his life with this chick who he could have easily kicked to the curb early on if he understood the concept of paying attention to red flags and being able to identify red flags. There are definite signs to get the hell out of there. And so I'm going to go through his story here, and I'm doing this, guys, because it's just so important for you guys who are relationship type of guys, because I know plenty of you guys are, just to hear these stories about what these guys do, the things they see, the clearly obvious things that we can all see when I share these stories, but guys overlook because they think the girl will be different with them, or because she's really hot, and so they let things slide. You can't do that. And guys, we only have so much time on this earth before we kick the bucket, so wasting a year and a half of your life is pretty stupid. So I'm going to go through this guy's story, and I respect that he sent me this story to help guys out here, but you're going to see just one after the other different red flags here. But ultimately, you're going to see, guys, this guy, he learns in the end, and he's now on his path and his purpose and all that. So it starts off, he says, hello SSM, I thought my story might be a good one to read on your channel. I saw some red flags and my gut told me that there were problems, but I stayed around because I thought things would be better. How many times have I read guys say something like that? Eventually I found out that my ex and her whole family had a bunch of baggage surrounding them. You can call me Bob. My ex and I are the same age. We met when we were 32 years old and dated about a year and a half. In the first week of dating, she made a comment about sneaking away and getting married. I thought it was a joke, so I laughed it off. Months later, she started pushing me for marriage hard. And I asked if she meant that comment when we first met about getting married, and she said yes. It felt like the right thing to do. That should have raised some alarm bells. You bet your ass it should have. Now, what's going on here? She's 32. What happens when a gal is in her 30s? She's usually very anxious because all her other friends are getting married. They all got a ring on their fingers. Society says they got to get married, so she's anxious to find that guy to do that. And if she hasn't found a dude by that age, one has to question the types of guys she has been with prior to you meeting her, right? So she's pressuring this guy. And you're going to see, guys, as I go on with this story, more and more of that. If a gal's pressuring you like that, not good. Not good at all. Big red flag there. When we first met, she told me that she didn't want to have kids. She said she even was thinking of getting her ovaries removed because she had ovarian cysts. Apparently, it runs in her family. I told her that probably wasn't the best idea, that she needs to go through she needs the hormones that they produce, and she wouldn't want to go through the menopause 20 years earlier. She ended up not having the operation. During the time we dated, she eventually said that she was on the fence about having kids, and she wasn't sure what she wanted, and eventually said that if we wanted to have a kid, and in the end saying that she wanted to have a kid very bad. Okay, bear with me, guys. It's messed up a little bit at the end. One of the things that bothered me about her was her excessive drinking. I did meet her at a bar, but I figured not everyone who goes to a bar is an alcoholic. She would get very drunk on the weekends and drink throughout the week. I remember at one point I asked her when was the last time she went a day without drinking, and she couldn't say. I said it would probably be a good idea not to drink every single day. She ended up backing off a bit, and she would take 2 to 3 days off during the week. Oh, big freaking deal. I gotta tell you, that is a deal breaker for me. I am not a big drinker at all, and the older I get, the less alcohol I have. I had a freaking margarita last Saturday at a Mexican restaurant with friends, and that was the first time I had an alcoholic beverage since New Year's Eve. Just to give you an idea how little I drink. It was one margarita. That was it. And it tasted damn good with my freaking chips and salsa and my fajitas. That's it. But right there, she can't go barely 2 to 3 days without drinking. That's like a big thing for her. That says it all. I can't stand alcoholics. She said I would say probably about 90% of our arguments were when she was drunk and would start drama over something that didn't need to be dramatic. So, bro, her pressuring about being married all the time, the fact that she can't stop drinking, she's got a drinking problem, these are signs to get out. Again, I don't care how cool she is, I don't care how hot she is, I don't care how great in the sack she is. You don't need this bullshit. And not to mention, people that drink a lot eventually get fat. So you don't need that either. And he mentioned that she starts a lot of drama when she's drinking. I want you guys to live drama-free lifestyles, not to endure all this bullshit all the time. That's what you're going to get. It seems like a no-brainer, but guys just put up with endless shit because they think that's all I can get. So I'm trying to get you guys to be the best you can be, to improve yourselves, so you won't tolerate shit friends, shit relationships, shit family members, shit coworkers. You cut people off if they're bringing poison into your life. See? Then the next day, she would apologize and say sorry that she was drunk. When she would go visit her dad 4 hours away, she'd drink beers the whole time while she drove down there. Are you saying she's drinking and driving? You gotta be kidding me, man. And even if she has to drink in the car and you're driving, that still says something about her. Her mom has had 2 DUIs and drinks nightly. Her half-sister had one, and her half-brother did too. He even recently crashed his car drunk and ended up getting kicked out of the house because of it. So he ended up living with his mom. Mom's got a DUI, 2 DUIs, the sister and brother, he crashed the car. Now we have the signs about the family, of what this family, what she's used to. See, guys? So all these things to pay attention to, these obvious red flags. But he keeps staying with her. So the brother ends up moving in with the mom. Her best friend is a huge alcoholic, like she couldn't go a single day without drinking. What I say about paying attention to the girl's friends? She had tried a few times, but each time she would have terrible withdrawals and the shakes. So it's safe to say she's surrounded by heavy drinkers. I had met all her mom's side of the family, and they all seemed to like me pretty well. Her sister on her mom's side said that always tell me how awesome I am every time I saw her, that she's glad that me and her sister are together, and that I am good for her, and I'm the best guy she had ever dated. It sounded like all her other boyfriends were huge losers, and that should have been a red flag there. Yeah. You're the Mr. Nice Guy she's getting together with in her 30s to settle down with, to be her Captain Save-A you-know-what, because the guys before her were the scumbags and the bad boys. That's usually how it works. When they're done with those guys, then they pick the nice guy to milk them for everything it's worth. Don't be that guy, gentlemen. She was living with her mom due to her losing her job after COVID. She found another job and was working and trying to get her bills paid down. Aha, so now, aside from all the other bullshit going on, she has debts. These are signs to get out of there, guys. But he still stays with her. Her mom then kicks her out of her room, so the brother who recently crashed the car drunk had somewhere to stay. She didn't have anywhere to go, so I let her stay with me. So she stayed with me for about 4 months, and that entire time I let her live in my place without paying any bills. Smack. Now she gets free room and board and all that. I hope the sex was great, dude. Aside from her drinking all... Who's paying for all her alcohol, I might add? Huh? And all the drama she starts with all that? Captain Save-A, you know what? You think he got money back from those bills? I seriously doubt it. I would come home after work, and she'd have multiple empty cans of beer at the desk while she was drinking while she was working from home. I would sometimes go to lunch with her on a weekday, and she would order a beer to drink on a Thursday at noon. Can't she have a freaking Pepsi or a Coke, for goodness sake? She kept pushing for marriage, like to the point of it being odd. I kept saying I'm not ready yet, that I want to date at least a couple of years first. That, my friend, is the smartest thing you've done so far in the story. I'm glad you had the senses to do that. Something was telling you about her. Her parents were split, and her mom's side of the family lives here, and her dad of the family is 4 hours away. She would go down there and visit her dad's family a couple times a year. Once when she went down there and came back, she got home and told me that she had gotten the COVID shot. Her aunt is a nurse and had talked her into it. This bothered me a bit because she didn't discuss it with me first at all. We'd hardly ever talked about the shot. The only time we did, she said a nurse had come to her place of work and told her and the other employees that they should get it since they work with the public. My girlfriend asked if she had any side effects, and the nurse had told her that she had bad reaction to it. Anyway, she comes home with her family visit and tells me that she is a human guinea pig now and is Team Pfizer. Almost bragging about it, this bothered me a bit because she didn't discuss it with me first at all. I wasn't trying to be controlling, I just felt like something major like that should be discussed with your partner first, especially if it's something you supposedly want to marry in the future. I gotta wonder if even just mentioning that subject will get the video flagged. I don't think so, but I'll find out when I publish this video tomorrow. She then breaks the news to me that she plans on moving to her dad's city, which is 4 hours away. Well, you should have been celebrating that she's leaving. She says that his dementia is getting worse, and she's moving down there to spend as much time with him as possible. This bothers me because I don't want to be in a long-distance relationship, and I know that distance never makes the relationships better. That's certainly true, dude. I totally understand spending more time with her dad with dementia, but she works remotely so she can be anywhere and work. She could spend a week here and a week there, or 2 weeks there and 1 week here, or Monday through Thursday here twice a month and the rest of the time there. Her dad has a wife and entire family down there so that is supporting him, so it's not like she is his caretaker spending 24/7 with him. Who cares? Get rid of this chick. Anyway, she says she wants to continue the relationship, and we agreed to try to make it work regardless of the distance. I remember once she said when I was down there for 2 weeks, I called her a week in to see how things are going, and she says she hasn't seen her dad yet after being there a week. Now, wait a second here. She's the one to go down and be the hero and be with Dad because he has dementia, and she goes down there. It's been a week and she hasn't seen him yet. Something tells me some shit's going on here. But she's not very forthcoming about things, not very honest. She asked if I thought about how I was going to propose to her. Here we go again about the pressure of getting married. I said no. I haven't thought about it yet because I'm not ready yet. She cried and tried to say that meant we want different things and that I don't want a future with her. I told her that wasn't true, that I do see a future with her, I just don't want to marry her, and that I would like to date a bit longer before marriage, but I wanted her in my life and a future with her. The pressure. Most guys would cave. This guy was a bonehead, no offense, dude, but you were, for being with this girl with all these red flags. But I respect that he just listened to his gut and said, no. A lot of guys would have caved. So this guy wasn't so nice after all. She probably thought he was. Now it's about a year and a half in, and she's renting a room from her family friend in her dad's city. She just started staying down there more. She invites me to come meet her dad's side of the family at a get-together that we are doing for the 4th of July. And wait till you see this, guys. Her dad's side of the family is just as screwed up as her mom's side. I meet everyone, and they seem okay for the most part. I meet her half-brother on her dad's side of the family, and the first thing he says to me is, "You're on thin ice, man." I say, "Why is that?" He says that all the other guys she's dated before had broken her heart, so he is watching me. You mean the scumbags, Chad and Tyrone, bad boy types? That's usually how it works. But she's the one that chose those guys, so she's accountable for some of the dudes that she's chosen. I tell him that has nothing to do with me, and he can't hold that against me. He then seems to be okay with me and says he hopes to see me around again. A bit of a backstory. I guess the reason he didn't like me is that my girlfriend had told him I wasn't ready to marry her yet, and he thinks I was leading her on or wasting her time. They've been dating a year and a half, for goodness sake. That's not wasting her time. That's getting to know someone. You got to be with somebody for years and years to see everything about them, like this guy's clearly seeing. Her family, her situation, how she's with money, things like drinking, all that. And she's in a test phase, and she's failing him left and right. You got to do that, guys, if you're a relationship guy. You got to spend years with her. Anyhow, he says, my girlfriend even asked me if I was ready to marry into her family later that day. Then she says, "Just kidding. I don't mean to put that kind of pressure on you." Bullshit. We hang out at the aunt's house where the party is, and later that day her cousin shows up. We're on the patio hanging out, and he tells me that we need to go inside to take a shot. I go inside with him, and he comes back and asks everyone where his brass knuckles are. His brass knuckles? Was this dipshit in a gang or something? What is this, the video game Double Dragon? I didn't like that, but he didn't say anything. And by the way, it says in parentheses, inferring that he'd want to use them on me. He then takes a shot with me, and he says, "Hey man, do you have any side hoes?" I said, "No, I don't." He says, "Come on man, you can tell me. I won't tell anyone else. Tell me about your side hoes." I say, "No, I don't have anyone else." He then says that he has side hoes. Everyone does. Just tell him about them. Yeah, this guy's a real piece of work. Well, he's a piece of something. I tell him again that I do not. He then goes onto the patio and tells everyone that I'm lame because I don't have any side pieces. Dude, the universe is sending you all these signs that this ain't going to work. But you don't listen to them. After a while, he wants to go somewhere else and is sick of hanging out at the house. He has a couple of his friends over. I'm playing a game of Jenga on the patio with one of his friends. He's upset that his friends aren't leaving fast enough, so he comes over and knocks over the whole Jenga board that we were playing with in the middle of the game. Well, that's a dick move. Great family. Great one to move in with, along with her being a wacko. At this point, I've had enough of this guy's antics, so I grab my girl and take her inside. I don't cause a scene or get mad. I just tell her in private that I have had enough and that I'm going to the dinner down the street, and she's welcome to come with me if she wants. I go to the car, and she joins me a couple minutes later. In the car, I tell her that I didn't appreciate the way her cousin is acting, that he wasn't raised right to act like that to me, and he obviously didn't have a strong father figure growing up. Yeah, because he acts like a fucking child. She gets mad at me and says I'm talking bad about her aunt and uncle now. I tell her that that wasn't my intention, but I have no problem with her aunt and uncle. But I did not like the way her cousin acted towards me. We go to dinner and hang out, and I drop her off back at her aunt's place. She's staying there. It must be at work in the morning. The cousin lives there, so I didn't want to spend that night there. She says sorry about her family, and she hopes that I will give them another chance. We kiss, and I head back. Dude, again, more things the universe telling you to get out of there. See, guys, all these signs. You got to pay attention. Family, drinking, debt, all these things. Her friends, what they're like. I can tell she's acting distant over the next couple days. I call her and try to talk with her. She keeps saying she's just busy and nothing is wrong. Bullshit, nothing's wrong. Finally, she says she's thinking things through. She didn't like the way things went with her family and just needs time to think about some things. When women say that means pretty much it's almost over. I ask her if she thinks I did anything wrong. After a long pause, she says no, that I didn't. But she didn't like the things I said about her family. I tell her that I was nice to everyone and that her cousin acted like a clown. And I didn't have issue with anyone else. And it doesn't seem right for her to question everything just because of last weekend when I didn't do anything wrong. She says this move hasn't made her question my role in her life, but her entire life. That scared her, us being in different cities. That things didn't go well when I met her family, that it wasn't my fault, but that it hurt that it didn't go well. Well, because your family's trash, that's why. She needs to be with one of these trashy guys she was with beforehand to make it work, because this guy obviously has some decent things in his life. That she is trying to focus on her family, and instead she's distracted thinking about us and our relationship. That she needs time to figure things out and to respect her request. Oh, I need time to think. I need time to work on myself. I'd offered earlier in the conversation to go down and see her, and that she needed time to get settled in, and she'd be back in town a few weeks. I'm wondering, how does she go from "Are you ready to marry me into this family" to "I'm questioning your role in my life" in a matter of about 3 days? Well, dude, that's how women work. It doesn't make a difference where you are, what your culture is, whatever. That's just how they operate. She used to text me daily. Over the next few weeks, we only talked a handful of times. I tell her at one point that I want to sit down, discuss everything, and work on things. She says, thanks for this. I definitely would like to talk. She's also probably shit testing you to see if she backs away, if you'll chase after her and things like that and put her in the upper hand. And that way then she could then probably get you to propose to her. That was probably like a final test, in my opinion. She comes back into town a few weeks later and we set up a day for us to meet up. She comes over and says that she's surprised I didn't have her stuff packed up to get back to her because I thought I barely talked to her. I'm thinking, what the heck? You're the one who pushed me away and said you need time and space and you didn't want to come and see me. We go get dinner and go out afterwards. I try to be the bigger person and tell her that I don't have any grudges against anyone in the family and that is all water under the bridge. She says, well, I'm glad you feel that way. My family doesn't like you because you just up and left and ran away. Oh, poor you. The family doesn't like you. The family are freaking trash, man. I mean, I can't hit that. I just can't stress that enough. All these signs. She says, well, I'm glad you feel that way. My family doesn't like you, blah, blah. She then says that she made me a priority for a long time and that upset a lot of people. She then says that she wants to break up. Hallelujah. You should be doing freaking cartwheels and jumping up and down and singing "We Are the Champions" because you do not need this broad. By this time, she had a few drinks. Imagine that. And we get into an argument. Again, imagine that. We go back to my place, and she brings up things from almost the time we met that she didn't like about me. How many of you guys have been in that situation? You and your girl get into an argument, and she's pissed off, and she decides to bring up every single thing that you ever did from the moment you met her that upset her she didn't like. And she's going on this long laundry list, and you're thinking, how the hell can she possibly remember every little freaking detail of things I did over the last 3 years? They all do that. It's a superpower. It's a bitch power, but it's a superpower. She says how she tried to talk to me about how her ex used to do bad things to her, and I didn't listen. Right after we met, she told me about these things. And goes into some details here I need to get into because it's a little dark. Anyhow, she says she's going to be staying with her dad's city longer than she expected. That long distance isn't going to work, and we can either split up now and probably reconnect at some point in the future, or if we stay together, we're just going to fade away. This is obviously nonsense since she could make things work, and she was willing to just a few weeks ago. She is the one pushing us apart, not the distance. I take her pictures out the fridge and I ask if she wants them. She says, don't get rid of anything that reminds you of me. I say it's yes or no question. She says yes, she will take them. I help her carry off her stuff to the car, and she kisses me on the lips and drives away. Again, jumping up and down and singing We Are the Champions because hallelujah, she's gone. Nothing but trouble in your life, man. Later on, I run into one of her friends soon after, and the friend told me my ex texted her and said that part of her is relieved, part of her is sad, and I probably hate her, and she doesn't blame me if I do. Who cares? She's a piece of trash. She continued to send texts on a group thread, me, her, and a couple of people, for about the next month. I had all her updates on social media, but I didn't delete her. She continued to like about 90% of my status updates. I just ignored her and didn't interact with her at all. Good, bro. Move on. My birthday rolls around about 4 months later, and she writes on my wall, happy birthday. At this point, I figure I've given her enough time, and it's best that I just cut her out of my life. I delete her on all my social media. She is now 35 now in a few months and looking for someone that will marry her and take her seriously. It's now been 6 months since the split. Take her seriously. She's a drunk. Both sides of her family are trash. Okay, she has money problems. Her friends are trash. She's a drama queen. She has a whole history of Chad and Tyrone's, and she's 35. Well, what a catch. She can take anybody she can get. I've recently found the RP community and have been expanding my knowledge and trying to better myself. I've been working hard at trying to get my side business successful, and I started taking country dance lessons, something that has been on my list for a long time to do. Well, bro, to each their own. I'd like to know what part of the country you are in, because here in Massachusetts, I don't know a whole lot of people do country line dancing, but own it, dude. If that's your thing, good for you. Wear your cowboy hat and do a little dance. Thank you for your videos. Maybe this could be a lesson to others to not ignore the red flags and pop up in hopes that they aren't accurate. Well, bro, this wasn't like a crazy story or anything like that or anything, whatever, but it was a good lesson for the relationship dudes out there that the red flags. And not only to know to look out for red flags, but to be aware of red flags. So again, here they are. Is she a big drinker, or does she use drugs? What her family's like? Are they a bunch of nut jobs? What her friends are like? Again, is she good with money or bad with money? Does she start fights all the time? Is she a bad communicator? All this shit, guys. You need to pay attention to all this stuff, and hopefully then that can help solve a lot of potential problems. But anyhow, guys, I got to get going. I am in a parking lot. We got a foot of snow, and I'm filming this, and there's bulldozers everywhere here, and they're going to crash into me if I don't move the goddamn car. But anyhow, guys, lots of lessons to learn in this video, and thanks to the bro that sent me this story. I hope that you're moving forward, and you cut her out of your life, and she's going to reach out to you again, man. I'm telling you now. And don't even bother. Don't even go down that path. And if you're a relationship guy, remember, red flags, and certainly don't let this stuff happen again. Alright guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below, let me know what you think about this, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.